Hey, before we talk about today's topic, love off the beaten path, unconventional relationships that actually work, I want to tell you a quick story and kind of touch base with you where I'm at in my life these days. If you don't know, our house burned down a couple months ago, and we are rebuilding our lives. But there's been a lot of internal shifts, I got to say. And I was at the hospital. Oh, not the hospital. It sounds so dramatic. I was at the doctor's office, and um, I have bloating problems, right? And he wanted to check my stool, and he said, "Listen, here's the whole kit. This is what you do. You take it home, you bring it back, and listen, the doctor is in downtown. Parking is horrible. It's like an all day thing." And I was like, just the idea of like taking the shit kit home, doing all that, and then also I think you have to put it in your fridge, right? Because you have to time the appointment again, and if it's not like you have to time that with when you shit because uh, if not, you have to leave the bag in your refrigerator. And so I wanted to avoid all of that. And he said, "Okay, well then you could just if you could poop on command." And I was like, "I can't poop on command, man. Come on, I could pee on command, but I can't. I mean, I'm not even regular. There's no way." Well, then you're gonna have to take it home and bring it back. And I sat with myself and I said, "Listen, let me give it a try." I took the kit, went into the restroom. I took a minute, put my hand on my stomach, and just kind of like meditated for a little bit. And I don't know if God was giving me a little support that day, but I shit on command. I pooped on command, which I've never done in my entire life. And I left the doctor's office with a shit eating grin on my face and so proud of myself. And I'm sharing this with you because I don't know what's going on with me, but little things like this are actually big. One of the things that's happening for me, and there is science behind this because I think that when you go through something traumatic, like your house burning down, your senses are heightened. And I also don't know how long it lasts, but you're actually able to be very mindful. You're able to see things that you didn't see before. Um, and one of the things that I've naturally have been leaning into is just simple moments, not putting weight on like the big things and um, instead finding joy in smaller things like being able to shit on command, which I've never done before. Anyway, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Happy that I can poop on command. All right. On today's episode, we're going to talk about love off the beaten path. And I got to say, we are, real quick, I am loading videos to Spotify. So if you want to see me reading notes off my phone, hey, real quick, if you're watching this on Spotify, can I tell you something about my hair? I think I said this once. I'm not sure, but it's fucking hilarious. Okay, so I had long hair. I recently cut it, and she said, "What are you thinking?" And I was thinking like '90s Christian Slater, and then what came out of my mouth was Christopher Walken. I said, I said, "Give me a Christopher Walken." She looked at me. She's like, "What are you talking about? You're not getting Christopher Walken." Anyway, I'm just saying that because if you're watching this on Spotify, let me know. Do I look like a Korean Christopher Walken with this haircut? All right. Let's look at the different types of relationships that are kind of off the beaten path. The first one is relationship anarchy. And by the way, I'm choosing things that we haven't really explored before. I'm staying away from the obvious, right? Like uh, poly, open, right? All the things that people are exploring and also very activated by, right? This is going to be different in that um, I thought of other types of relationships that are a little bit unconventional that may work, and it's not so extreme. All right, relationship anarchy. It's a philosophy that removes hierarchy in relationships, romantic, platonic, and otherwise. No automatic prioritization of romantic partners over friends or chosen family. This sounds weird, right? Because basically, we are saying that the playing field is equal, and your partner, just because you share a bed with your partner, sorry, doesn't mean that that they are more valuable. And I know for many, this is going to shake your world because you're like, what are you talking about? When I was in my 30s, I thought the first time I got married, I was like, all I need is my the one, right? My wife. And then I'm going to focus the rest of my time in building something. I don't need friends. I don't need to talk to my mom. I don't need, to hang out with my family. And then I got divorced and I realized, oh, because of that structure and mindset, I have nothing now. And so, listen, I don't necessarily, I'm not saying that this is how I roll today, meaning that, all my relationships are equal, whether friendship, or my wife or my, daughter, or my, family. That's definitely not true. But it's an interesting concept. And what I like about this is that we as human beings, we need a full, rich life, meaning there are things that we get from our friends that we can't our partner, right? And we should spend more time with family, and we should basically create what we lost, which is kind of like this community, right? This village. All right, why it works: encourages deep personal autonomy and intentional commitment rather than obligation. I think you also you also are thirsty for and respect and want to see your partner more when you have other relationships, right? Where it's not just you and your partner every day. This is like when you're in your 20s, like you don't do anything but spend time with just your partner, and then you kind of feel suffocated. All right, a real life example: someone who co-parents with an ex while maintaining a deep friendship, but dates others freely. All right, here's my challenge to you, listener. Think about relationships you might be quote unquote ranking without realizing it. What would happen if you let go of those rankings, right? What would happen if the relationships that you have are all equal and important? All right, another one is living apart together. This means who's been doing this forever? Celebrities and rich people. They have like multiple homes. They don't live together. Committed couples who don't live together by choice. This is like Vanessa's fucking dream. Not only do I want you to sleep in a separate bedroom, I want you to live in a different house space. Provides it provides independence, personal space, and keeps mystery alive. A couple, for example, can be together for 15 plus years, and they swear their secret is having separate apartments. Oh, this is a real life example. Okay. Here's my challenge to you. Would living apart improve or harm your current relationship? I think also our answer to this will differ depending on how old we are, Um, I would definitely be more open to this. I don't know about living, like completely living separately. Um, but as a 51-year-old now, yeah, this idea of having your own. Okay, this is our ideal. So you have your house, right? And you guys live there. Maybe you have children, whatever. You have your main safe tree house, but then you have this other house, right? So like a vacation home, or maybe it's like an apartment in the city. And what you do is you rotate, giving each other space. And so you go, a couple days during the week to this other pad. And listen, it doesn't have to be debauchery. It doesn't have to be like, that's where you guys are doing drugs and having affairs. That's not what I'm talking about. But it's just another environment. It's where you go to be creative. It's where you go to work. Uh, I think that can work. I love that idea that you have home base and then you have another place, and each of you rotate by giving each other space to go and just be free for a couple days. I think that would be amazing. And you know why I'm saying this? Because last week I gave my wife a staycation, just a couple days, hotel, 40 minutes away, to just get work done, to do nothing, to take herself out to dinner, whatever she wants to do. And she just got back today, and she feels very alive, and she feels filled up, right? Um, so I think something like that could work, at least for me. All right. Next one, co-creating a relationship without labels. What is this? Instead of defining a relationship by societal labels like marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, some people design their own agreements. I love the word co-creating. I talk about co-creating. It's a huge part of a book that I just turned in about love and relationships. And I think it's all about co-creating, focuses on how partners want to show up for each other rather than what's expected. I think expectation, just in general in life, creates a cliff for us to fall off of, right? And I think in relationships, we expect the other person to do things. They don't meet our expectations, or we expect them to show up a certain way. They don't meet our expectations. We're disappointed, and there's resentment, right? Now, expectations are different than like just foundational non-negotiables, But when we do expect people to be a certain way, to do something, to see something through our eyes, right? Usually we're going to be disappointed. All right, a real life example of this is a couple who considers each other soulmates, but reject traditional commitment frameworks and releases their relationship. Or I'm sorry, releases. I guess you could reassesses their relationship yearly. That sounds it sounds kind of like um, I mean, it sounds kind of extreme. Like annually, you do uh, a review. You do an annual review of your relationship. I don't even know what that would look like. Does that involve a couple's therapist? Is it man? How can you do it in a way where people are on the same team? Because it has to be in a way where you're like, here's what I love about this relationship, and here's what some things that we can work on. It's not like an annual. Here's how I need you to change, right? That would not work. But I kind of like the idea of an annual review, just to check in, just to touch base. Because we change, right? We change um, every year. We change. I mean, I was just, I opened this podcast episode with my internal shifts recently. Um, Pooping on command definitely would not be anything that I would have uh, found joy in, right? Just even 2 years ago. Today, very different, right? And so I think as we change, it's important to check in with each other and see where everyone's at, see if we're on the same page, see if we are both getting what we want from this relationship. And if not, um, what can we do to make it work? What can we do to improve? What kind of spaces do we need to create for each to thrive? Question for you. If you could co-create a relationship from scratch, what elements would you keep and what would you ditch? So the point of this episode isn't to activate you. And if it is activating you, I got to say, um, you may be holding on to old blueprints too tightly. Now, if you like the traditional, that's totally okay. It's whatever works for you. But I think a lot of people, and just not in relationships, I mean, with just life, work, career, um, they are on autopilot with a lot of strong shoulds, tracing something. that may not be honest to them anymore, you know? And relationships, it's one of those topics where there's a right and there's a wrong. You do this, you live a certain way, this is how it's done. All of that is changing. And what I love is you got to do what works for you, you know? Anyway, thank you for listening. I hope you build a relationship that is honest to you. Whether you're in one now or you will be one in the future, I don't know, but I hope you build something that is honest to you, that gives you a corrective experience, right? That actually, by being in this relationship, that will break patterns and you will convince yourself that there's something different, something better. And I hope that by doing so, the relationship expands, both of you. Thank you for listening. Be well.